The Ames hydroelectric generating plant in Ophir, Colorado has been producing electricity continuously since 1891, 134 years of uninterrupted generation. Its turbine is a steel wheel with cup-shaped buckets around its rim. No gearbox, no rare earth magnets, no scheduled blade replacement. The same wheel design runs today at 90% efficiency, more than double the annual energy output per dollar of installed cost compared to a residential wind turbine. It runs 24 hours a day regardless of weather. A garden hose at standard municipal pressure supplies enough force to power a small version. Fewer than 1% of eligible American properties have one installed. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why and what it would take to change that. The physics that make the Pelton wheel work were understood long before Lester Allen Pelton gave them their most efficient mechanical expression. Every civilization that built infrastructure near moving water independently arrived at the same conclusion. Water falling under gravity carries transferable energy, and a correctly shaped surface can extract that energy and convert it into rotational force. What no civilization before Pelton had achieved was the geometry that extracted the maximum possible fraction of that energy from the available water mass. The earliest documented mechanical water wheels appear in Roman engineering records from the 1st century BCE. Vitruvius, the Roman architect and engineer whose 10-volume De Architectura compiled the engineering knowledge of the Roman world circa 15 BCE, described the horizontal water wheel in sufficient detail to allow reconstruction. Roman mill installations at Barbegal in southern France, excavated and documented by Fernand Benoit in the 1940s, incorporated 16 sequential water wheel installations driving grain mills, a combined mechanical output estimated at approximately 3 kilowatts of continuous shaft power. Roman engineers understood that falling water produced rotational force. They did not understand the geometry that maximized the fraction of energy captured. That understanding arrived in stages across the following 15 centuries. Persian engineers developed the noria, a chain of buckets lifting water from a river for irrigation, documented in the works of 10th century Arab geographer Al-Muqaddasi across installations in the Orontes River Valley of what is now Syria. European millwrights of the 17th and 18th centuries experimented systematically with overshot, undershot, and breastshot wheel configurations, measuring output against input and establishing empirically that the geometry of water contact with the bucket surface determined efficiency more than any other single variable. John Smeaton, the British civil engineer who also designed the Eddystone Lighthouse, published a systematic experimental study of water wheel efficiency in 1759, documenting overshot wheel efficiencies of 60 to 70% and recommending specific bucket geometry for maximum performance. Smeaton was the first engineer to measure water wheel efficiency with scientific precision. He had identified the variable that mattered. He had not yet found the geometry that maximized it. Lester Pelton found it by accident in 1876 at the gold mines of Camptonville, California. A water wheel had slipped on its axle so that the incoming water jet struck the center dividing ridge of each bucket rather than its interior cup. The wheel accelerated dramatically. Pelton spent 3 years studying exactly what the misaligned jet had done to the bucket geometry, how splitting the jet at its center and redirecting each half stream through 165 degrees back toward its source extracted nearly twice the momentum. He filed United States Patent 233692 in October 1880. The cup-shaped double bucket that defined the Pelton wheel was not an incremental improvement. It was a geometric solution to a problem engineers had been measuring for a century. The American Society of Mechanical Engineers designated the Ames hydroelectric plant, the first commercial alternating current power station in the world, a National Historic Mechanical Engineering landmark in 1988. Powered by a Pelton wheel since 1891, and its wheel is still generating power today. The Pelton wheel achieves 90% efficiency through a mechanical principle called impulse momentum transfer, the most complete extraction of kinetic energy from a moving fluid that any mechanical device has achieved at commercial scale. A nozzle converts the potential energy of pressurized or elevated water into a high-velocity jet. The pressure driving the jet is determined by the hydraulic head, the vertical drop between the water source and the turbine. Every 10 feet of vertical drop produces approximately 4.3 pounds per square inch of pressure at the nozzle outlet. Municipal water supply at 60 to 80 pounds per square inch supplies the pressure equivalent of approximately 130 to 180 feet of hydraulic head, sufficient to drive a residential Pelton installation from a standard garden hose connection. The jet strikes the double-cupped buckets mounted around the wheel's circumference at the precise point where the bucket's central ridge splits it into 2 equal streams. Each stream curves through 165 degrees inside the bucket and exits back toward the direction it came from. The governing physics is the impulse momentum theorem, Force equals mass flow rate multiplied by the change in velocity vector. By reversing the water's direction through 165 degrees rather than the 90 degrees a conventional water wheel achieves, the Pelton bucket extracts 1.9 times the momentum from the same water mass. That mathematical relationship is where the 90% efficiency figure originates. The wheel turns a generator shaft directly. No gearbox, no step-up transmission, no intermediate mechanical stage that introduces friction loss. The only moving components in the entire system are the wheel, the generator rotor, and the needle valve in the nozzle that controls flow rate. The system has no cut-in wind speed. It has no minimum solar irradiance threshold. It runs at whatever output the available water pressure and flow rate produce, continuously as long as water is flowing. Aalborg University's Department of Energy Technology published a comparative analysis of small-scale renewable energy systems in the journal Energies in 2020, confirming Pelton wheel electrical conversion efficiencies of 88 to 92% across a range of head and flow conditions tested in laboratory settings. The equivalent conversion efficiency for a small wind turbine of comparable rated power measured in the same study ranged from 35 to 42%. The Pelton wheel extracts more than twice the electrical energy from its available resource than a wind turbine extracts from its available resource. But does that efficiency advantage translate into real power output under real site conditions, at real installation costs, across real weather events? The National Renewable Energy Laboratory's 2022 Distributed Wind Market Report documented the average annual capacity factor for residential small wind turbines across the United States at 22 to 28%. A 1 kilowatt wind turbine operating at 25% capacity factor generates 2,190 kilowatt hours of electricity per year. The United States Energy Information Administration's 2023 data confirmed that the average American household consumes approximately 10,500 kilowatt hours annually. A 1 kilowatt wind turbine at typical residential capacity factor covers approximately 21% of average household demand. The International Renewable Energy Agency's 2023 Renewable Power Generation Cost Report documented capacity factors for run-of-river microhydro installations, the category that includes Pelton wheel systems fed by perennial streams, of between 50 and 90% depending on site hydrology and seasonal flow variation. A 1 kilowatt Pelton installation operating at 75% capacity factor generates 6,570 kilowatt hours per year, covering 63% of average household demand from a system that costs between $800 and $2,000 in hardware. At current retail pricing from manufacturers including Canyon Hydro and Platypus Power, a residential wind turbine of equivalent rated power retails between $3,000 and $6,000 installed, before permitting and grid interconnection costs. The Idaho National Laboratory's Microhydro Resource Assessment, published in partnership with the Department of Energy's Water Power Technologies Office in 2021, identified over 65,000 stream and spring sites across the continental United States with sufficient flow and head to support microhydro installations between 1 and 100 kilowatts. The assessment noted that the majority of these sites were located on private agricultural and rural residential land, where property owners had existing water rights. Fewer than 3,000 installations currently operate across all 65,000 identified sites. When Hurricane Maria destroyed Puerto Rico's electrical grid in September 2017 and left 3 million people without power for up to 11 months, the island's mountain streams continued flowing. The central mountain region of Puerto Rico receives over 80 inches of annual rainfall and contains dozens of perennial streams with adequate head and flow for microhydro generation. None of those streams were powering homes during the outage. The households that might have been running Pelton wheels were running on generator fuel that was in short supply within weeks of the storm making landfall. The Ames hydroelectric plant in Ophir, Colorado has operated through every weather event the San Juan Mountains have produced since 1891, including the blizzard of 1913 that closed roads across the region for weeks. The water kept flowing, the wheel kept turning. The generator kept producing. The community powered by that installation experienced no outage caused by the wheel's mechanical failure in 134 consecutive years of operation. Every capacity factor comparison confirms the same output advantage. Every cost analysis confirms the same economic advantage. So why do fewer than 3,000 Pelton installations operate across 65,000 identified eligible sites in the United States? The global wind energy market was valued at $102 billion in 2023, Vestas, Siemens Gamesa, GE Vernova, and Goldwind collectively supply the majority of wind turbine installations globally. Each company's revenue depends on a replacement cycle that microhydro does not have: blade bearing replacement at year 7 to 10, gearbox replacement at year 12 to 15, full nacelle replacement at year 20 to 25, alongside annual service contracts running between $25,000 and $50,000 per megawatt of installed capacity. A Pelton wheel installation on a perennial stream generates electricity for as long as the stream flows, with no scheduled replacement event and no annual service contract. The regulatory barrier preventing microhydro from reaching its 65,000 identified American sites is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's jurisdiction over in-stream water use under the Federal Power Act of 1920. If rediscovering the lost art of self-sufficiency matters to you, subscribing and sharing is the simplest way to make sure this kind of knowledge keeps being found. Any installation that diverts water from a stream, including a pipe carrying water from a stream intake to a turbine 50 meters downhill, requires either a FERC license or a FERC small hydropower exemption. The exemption application for an installation below 100 kilowatts costs between $2,500 and $8,000 in filing fees, requires an environmental assessment, a cultural resources survey, and a fish passage evaluation, and takes 12 to 18 months to process from submission to approval. A residential solar installation requires an electrical permit costing between $100 and $500 and is approved within days. A residential wind turbine installation requires a building permit and takes weeks. The regulatory asymmetry between a technology with a corporate lobby and a technology without one is not coincidental. Germany's Renewable Energy Sources Act, the EEG, has included a dedicated feed-in tariff category for microhydro installations below 100 kilowatts since its first publication in 2000, creating a direct financial incentive for installations at every eligible site the country's hydrology supports. Austria's Ökostromgesetz provides equivalent support. Switzerland's energy law classifies microhydro as a priority renewable technology for federal subsidy eligibility. Each country evaluated the same 65,000 site opportunity the United States NREL assessment identified and chose to write a compliance pathway. The American compliance pathway requires 18 months and $8,000 before a wheel turns. Installation at off-stream sites, pressurized municipal supply connections, farm irrigation pressure recovery systems, elevated storage tank supplies, falls outside FERC jurisdiction entirely in most states, and requires only standard mechanical and electrical permitting. Canyon Hydro's product catalog and Platypus Power's site assessment tool, both publicly available, provide the starting point for any property with a pressurized water supply. No one wrote the Federal Power Act of 1920 to stop a Pelton wheel on a private spring. The act was written for utility-scale dam projects. The wheel arrived and found a regulatory framework designed for a different machine. When the grid serving Puerto Rico collapsed in September 2017 and stayed down for 11 months, every solar installation on the island stopped generating the moment clouds arrived. Every wind turbine stopped when the wind dropped. The mountain streams of the Cordillera Central kept flowing at their average rate of several cubic meters per second throughout the entire recovery period, carrying enough kinetic energy to power thousands of homes from wheels that were not there. The wind energy industry spent $102 billion last year selling turbines that operate at 25% of their rated capacity, require gearbox replacement within their first decade, and stop generating every time the air goes still. Lester Pelton watched a misaligned water jet strike the center of a mining wheel in Camptonville, California in 1876, and spent 3 years turning that observation into a geometry that extracted 90% of the available energy. The Ames plant proved it in 1891. The Swiss Federal Institute confirmed it in 1995. Oak Ridge National Laboratory identified 65,000 American sites where it could be deployed today. The water is still flowing. The wheel is still turning at Ames. The 90% is still there. The question was never whether it works. The question is why we're still asking why we don't use it. This is Off the Meter. Subscribe so you never miss the next solution the world forgot to use.